Hey, what's up, cats and kittens? And shout out to all my Cerebralites. It is me, the Cerebral Diva, and I'm back with another episode of RealiTEA, and that's TEA because I give it to you scalding hot. So grab your cups, grab your saucers, gather around, and let's all partake in this libation of RealiTEA. But before you go another further, do yourself a favor, and while you're at it, please do me a solid. Take a second, hit that subscribe button, and once you've done that, take another second to hit that tiny little bell so you can turn on your notifications, and that way you'll be kept in the loop. Okay, so let's talk about Tamar and Vince. And as far as I'm concerned, Tamar and Vince is the realest reality TV show on right now. This season in particular, like we've seen glimpses of the sort of contentious dynamic between Tamar and Vince throughout the Braxton Family Values, and we saw that dynamic carry on into their own show. So it's no surprise that the two of them are sort of butting heads. And I think most of us, while watching the history of their relationship on reality TV, we were already anticipating a divorce at some point between Tamar and Vince. But what I'm finding interesting is that prior to this season and maybe part of last season, I really sort of vilified Tamar and believed Tamar to sort of be the antagonist in that relationship. But I think after seeing this season, I'm not so convinced that she's necessarily the antagonist, nor is she the protagonist, so to speak. But I do believe that Vince is equally culpable, equally complicit in terms of the dysfunctional dynamic in that relationship. But Tamar is just a little bit more transparent, and Vince is a little bit more calculated in terms of what he's willing to show on the camera versus what he does off camera. And I think that that's the reason why most of us, myself included, have always been pointing the finger at Tamar, saying she's the problem, she's the problem. So anyhow, before I go down that road, I just want to talk a little bit more about this season. Okay, so back in November, Tamar released a new album. I think it was November, maybe it was October, somewhere around there. She released Bluebird of Happiness, which is an amazing album. I love, 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 love that album. That and Guapoli's album are probably two of my favorite albums from 2017. But I don't want to move too far away from the subject, but I just want to mention that if you love R&B music, if you're a connoisseur of R&B music, and you want something, please pick up Guapoli's album and Tamar's album. They're both amazing albums in their own right. So back to Tamar. So this album was coming out, and prior to the album's release, we started hearing murmurings about Tamar saying that this was going to be her final project, that after this there would be no more albums. She was giving up music because she wanted to focus on the health and well-being of her family, which seemed very magnanimous. I thought that it was really a grown woman thing to do and to say. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't think that it was just her wanting to save her marriage. I'm not going to completely discount that being a part of it or a variable in her making that decision. But I partly think that the main reason of why she decided to walk away from music is that she just isn't selling very many units. That's just a reality of the world that we live in as it relates to R&B music. Very few artists are selling the units that they were selling 10, 15 years ago. Music just isn't selling. So Tamar isn't sort of this isolated event. This is pretty much happening across the board. I think Miguel released a new album. I think it maybe sold 15,000 units the first week, and I think that was enough to actually put it in like the top 5 or top 10, which is a sad statement on where we are in music. But I think that when she said that she was walking away from music, it wasn't just to save her family. It's also to save face, because she's a little embarrassed about the numbers that she's doing, which I don't think that she should be embarrassed about. Having said that, I want to talk a little bit about Evelyn Braxton, who to me, I don't know, she's I don't like to talk about people's mothers, because I think that you have to have a certain level of respect and deference for people's moms. But having heard some of the things that she said about Vince's abuse allegations about that, it's this one scenario in particular where I think she was on the Ricky Smiley show, and she's talking about Tamar being abused by Vince, and she walked in on them in the kitchen fighting, and that she grabbed Logan and she went to the room and she locked herself in the room and put a chair against the door. And that just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. Now, I don't want to question Tamar's abuse allegations because, you know, only she knows what happens. Only Vince, she and Vince know what really happened. So I can't really speak to whether or not physical abuse has transpired in that relationship. What I can tell you is that no black mother that I know, hell, no white mother that I know, Hispanic, Asian, what have you, would walk into a kitchen, see their daughter being abused, and then walk out as if, they just came for a snack. Like, who does that? So to me, it just doesn't make any sense. So when if it were my mom and my mom walked in the kitchen and she saw my boyfriend jumping on me, I guarantee you there would be a knife thrown, a pot thrown, hot grease. Something would happen. It wouldn't just be a matter of her walking in and walking out and leaving me to fend for myself. I just don't see that, especially given Evelyn's temperament. I don't really see, that's not her personality based on what I've seen on the show. So I really think that she, as opposed to advocating for Tamar, she's really sort of putting question marks above the abuse allegations and making some of us, myself included, think, well, if maybe the abuse happened, but that particular situation just doesn't sound realistic. So I just want to say that. But I do want to touch on this before I go because I don't want to go on for too long. This season of Braxton Family Value, of Tamar and Vince has been a very difficult one to watch, but I think that it'll be interesting. I think that this is what I think is going to happen. Ultimately, Tamar is going to get divorced. That's what's going to happen. And I feel like from watching this show, she's already setting herself up for her own individual show with her gay friends and Tamar sort of living the single life. And that's going to be the next show that we're going to see because she and Vince are definitely headed for divorce. I don't think that, like, there are a lot of people who believe that Tamar was simply with Vince because he was a meal ticket. He was an opportunity for her to um to live a lifestyle that she wouldn't have been able to live on her own. But I think that she, even if that, let's say that that was why they initially got together, I think that at this point she has genuinely grown to love and care about him. And I could be wrong, but I think that for whatever reasons she's fed up. And you heard R. Kelly, when a woman's fed up, there's nothing you can do about it. She wants out. It's time for her to go. She wants her single. Um, she wants her single life, and that's one thing I do want to say really quick. I think that one of Tamar's biggest problems is she needs better friends. I think that James and EJ in particular aren't giving her enough pushback. They're sort of yes people. Yes, Tamar, we agree with you. And there are some situations that I've seen this year where I feel like a true friend would have called Tamar out on some of her behavior. And a true friend would have given her different options, different resolutions in terms of how she should address the problems in her marriage. EJ and James in particular seem to be ruled by self interest because they know if Tamar is single, if Tamar is outside of Vince's sort of Svengali control, that means more opportunities for them. So to me, it seems like they have more of a vested interest in seeing her and Vince separate. And so for that reason, I don't feel like she should necessarily be trusting their opinion totally. Take it with a grain of salt. But anyway, I really feel like Tamar and Vince ultimately are going to go their separate ways. It'll be interesting to see what happens as far as Tamar goes. But I think that we're going to see Tamar hanging out with a bunch of her gay friends, and we're going to see her dating and living the single life. And that's going to be the next reality TV show that is sort of spawned from this. So that's just really my take on Tamar and Vince. I don't really have time to do episode by episode review, so I just decided to review the entire season. Or not even to review, just to give you guys my opinion, a synopsis of my opinion of this entire season. So that's how I feel about it. What I want to know is how you feel about it, so make sure you comment below. And that concludes this episode. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, and please share if you feel so inclined. Remember to follow me across all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Also, remember, it is better to be pissed off than it is to be pissed on. And it's always in closing, people, remember to live better, love harder, and think smarter. It is me, the Cerebral Diva. I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day. And as always, thank you for listening.